Our next conversation is going to be about the public transport sector. And our guest.
It's not even funny.
Yeah?
It's not funny.
Tusisumbuane, please.
It's not even funny.
It's not.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Patricia Mutheu is the CEO of the Matatu Owners Association. Welcome back to the Situation Room, Patricia.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to have you here.
Always.
Karibu sana.
Pleasure.
Sasa, matatus are often misunderstood. Or no, maybe they are not. Maybe what we see is actually what's there. You know, just see chaos. Unaingia kwa matatu, wanapiga makelele town. Makelele. You enter the matatu
is it really
itself.
Makelele, or are they ensuring that you understand what it is they're saying? It's for your sake, really.
Yeah, you need to know where you're going.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Kabete.
Yes.
Really?
There are many matatus. Now, how do you know that this matatu goes to where you're going unless they tell you?
Kenyatta Gumo.
Yes, exactly.
Kenyatta Gumo.
Yes.
What is? And all of them are screaming.
In fact, if it's your first time in Nairobi, you'll think they're saying Kenyatta Ngumu.
But then there are many matatus in Kenya, all right? And they transport very many people on a daily basis. And obviously, that's a lot of money in the matatu sector. That's why we have you here this morning to understand this. But before we welcome you, we are going to welcome you with some chai. You see this? This is Assis.
Assis.
City will also then give you the day's proverb.
Yes. Mm-hmm. The proverb relates to a baboon. And of interest is there are 5 species of baboon.
Allah.
In Liberia? Oh, sorry.
No.
Generally.
Baboons are actually scattered on the continent of Africa and in around Arabia. There is the olive baboon, the yellow baboon, the chakma baboon, the Guinea baboon, and the sacred baboon. Olive is the most distributed.
Sacred baboon?
Yes, it's a name that has been given to that particular baboon.
Right.
So when you say baboon, don't just say baboon.
Say which one?
Baboon. Okay. When a baboon offers you a banana, imagine how many he has in his stomach.
When a baboon offers you a banana, imagine how many he has in his stomach. Patricia, what do you think the Liberians are saying? The proverbs are from Liberia. He didn't say.
The Republic of Liberia. Yes. Not that.
When a baboon offers you a banana, imagine how many he has in his stomach.
This is just an imagination. He must be having enough.
Indeed.
Ameshiba.
Ameshiba.
Yeah, ametosheka.
Yeah.
So tafsiri hiyo sasa.
Najaribu kutafsiri.
The deeper meaning.
Yes. Yeah.
By the way, this is one of those situations where you can't be wrong because we want your opinion. How do you relate to this proverb?
But I don't want to quantify. Totally, he must be having enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
He must have had
enough.
too many.
One too many.
Ameshiba.
Yeah.
Nataka ndizi chukua.
Yeah.
Na wewe pia chukua. Okay.
Okay. The matatu industry.
He might be insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Not acting normal.
Yes. They're not acting normal.
Yeah.
Because baboons are known to grab things.
Yes. This time it's giving you.
Yes.
Kichwa yake ni mzuri kweli.
An interesting interpretation.
Yes. Yeah.
You told us the last time you were here that the Matatu Owners Association brings together very many members, and these are those that have invested in this sector. Remind us again, how many members are you in the MOA?
We are 480 registered SACCO. And for a SACCO to be registered under NTSA, must have a minimum of 30 units, up to maybe 1,000 plus. Yeah, so you can do your calculation. The numbers are immense.
The members are not individuals, they are SACCOs?
Yeah, they are SACCOs.
Okay.
And limited companies.
I see.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a regulation.
Okay.
Can't answer that. Maybe NTSA should answer that.
So who joins the SACCO? If I invest
any
in the Matatu,
willing investor should join a SACCO. Yeah.
And you join
It has
the
been
SACCO.
made easy for you to become an investor. Yeah, so you don't need to worry about the daily runnings and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think let's start from that point. Eric is interested in getting into the Matatu industry, right?
Yes.
So what does Eric need to do? What does Eric need to know?
Find your favorable SACCO. Depends with the route you want to apply. And yeah, that's it. Talk to the SACCO management and you're good to go. Buy the unit and you're good to go.
But the SACCO must accept my membership.
Yes, definitely. There is
So-
membership fee.
So someone invests in a vehicle,
Yeah.
then they approach a SACCO
Yeah.
and say, I'd like my Matatu to ply this route.
Exactly.
So I'd like to join this SACCO.
Yeah.
Now, once they've accepted your membership into the SACCO,
Yeah.
then what?
That's it.
That's it. What? They
You
run
start
the
the
Matatu?
operation. Yeah. Now it depends. If you want to run the Matatu, you can run the Matatu yourself. But most of the time, it's the SACCO that runs the Matatu. There is management fee that is paid depending with the SACCO you apply. From 500 up to 2,500 a day. Yeah, management fee. So now it depends.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So essentially, you would be giving the vehicle to the SACCO and saying, look, I want to get something from this vehicle every month,
Yeah.
but I can't be involved in the operations.
Yes.
So the SACCO would be responsible for what now? Having a driver, conductor, maintaining
Absolutely.
the vehicle,
Yes.
and then at the end of the day, rather at the end of the month, handing you a paycheck.
No,
Is that
it's
how
a-
it works?
It's a daily basis.
It's a daily, every day they pay you
Every day,
something.
yes.
Okay.
By 1, you
Okay.
already know how much.
1
You
p.m.
have 1 p.m., yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Your offload is ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Allah.
So
Okay.
the drivers, the conductors are registered under various SACCOs.
Okay.
Yeah. Becomes very easy to monitor them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about that option where you mentioned if you want to be the one running your own vehicle but you're still a member of the SACCO, would you what would be the difference between the two? So CT would be there driving his Matatu, whatever, because he wants to be able to earn on his own, and he can do that outside of the arrangement of the SACCO?
No,
Would it-
can't.
He can't.
If CT wants to do that, he has to register under SACCO and NTSA must clear him.
Okay.
Yeah. To become a member of that particular SACCO.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say NTS clears someone, what is it that NTSA looks for?
You have to pay some fee in order to be accredited and get the PSV registered. Yes.
This is so. If CT wants to have the daily management of his fleet,
Yes.
then he has to be his own SACCO.
Definitely. Must register his own SACCO.
His own SACCO.
Yes, and then different members will pay management fee to the SACCO.
to the SACCO.
Yeah.
So as long as you are basically joining another SACCO, that SACCO is the one that you're handing over your fleet to.
Yes.
And they're in charge of the HR.
They're in charge of HR. They're in charge of police. They're in charge of
Yes, that's part of HR.
any unruly behavior as purported by Eric.
Licensing.
Yes.
That's taking
Yes.
the vehicle for
Yes.
inspections and getting the PSV
Yes.
license.
Yes.
It's a SACCO's mandate.
Yes.
Getting insurance and deciding which insurance to go for.
No. That's personal. Now you can decide as an investor which insurance you want your
Okay.
vehicle to.
The maintenance service.
Maintenance is owners, not SACCO.
So the owner then also decides the maintenance schedule of
Yes.
the vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
But you also have other SACCOs that actually, offer that kind of service, even fueling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say by 1 p.m., you already know how much you're making. Why 1 p.m.? Why not 5? I mean, we still have some peak traffic time coming up in the afternoon.
Now it depends.
Okay.
From SACCO to SACCO, we have other SACCOs that are well managed. Maybe you can get your check after 30 days, but most of them I know by 1. You already have your offload, and this is basically to discourage corruption.
How so?
Yeah, if they have cash in their pocket, becomes accessible and it's easy to be diverted to other things. So you have to be very prompt.
Okay. So SACCO must pay its owners and investors.
Yes.
So that you minimize the amount of cash that
Exactly.
you need. Because this is a cash
because
business.
it's a cash intensive industry. Like I mentioned earlier, we transact over 5 billion on a daily basis.
Sorry.
Yeah.
5 billion
Yes.
on a daily basis.
Yes. And 30% goes to corruption.
Let's start again.
No. This one we have to start again.
Yeah.
By 1 p.m. today, 5B. From yesterday to today, 1 p.m., 5B.
5B, yes.
Will have been transacted.
Generated.
Yeah, generated from that industry.
That's a lot.
And
of money.
we consume...
And all of it is cash, or at least
Yes,
most
cash.
of it is cash.
Most of it is cash. I think only 1% is in cash. And we consume 60% of imported fuel. Yes. So it's an industry you cannot disregard.
Then
It's a very beautiful ecosystem.
And how many people does this industry employ?
Over 1 million.
directly.
Youth, directly.
Okay. Can you categorize for us those who are employed? Driver, we understand.
Yeah.
Makanga, we understand.
Yeah.
Okay, then?
There's drivers. So one unit has 2 drivers, 2 makangas.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have relievers within the estates. They're called mbana.
Called who?
Mbana.
Mbana.
Yeah, you see those boys in the estate, seated somewhere dressed in the So once the Matatu comes from town and it's getting within the estate.
The driver takes a break.
Yes.
So Mbana takes over.
Yes.
And this Mbana is employed.
Yeah, it's employed.
Recognized by the SACCO.
Yes.
He's not a guy who's just sitting there.
No.
No.
Must be registered under NTSA too.
There's a term I keep hearing. Squad.
Sasa ndio your squad.
Okay, your squad.
Yeah, you're your squad.
Deliver squad.
Yes.
Okay.
Deliver squad.
I see.
Yeah.
So we have then the driver, the conductor, the Mbanas.
Yes.
Who else?
We have the Mkazano, the noisemakers that you say Mkazano. Mkazano is more
Mkazano is those guys
Kabagera, the ones who are telling you, just ingia hapa, we come, you know.
What's the origin of these words? Mkazano,
Mkazano. It's like they have to convince you to get to a particular
anakazania
gari fulani. Aya, kuna mtu wa set. Yeah.
Set ni nini?
Doesn't who just get inside the Matatu to just,
Are they those people who...
I know those ones.
Yeah,
Enter into the Matatu and then suddenly it's full
and
then
then
suddenly it's
suddenly
empty.
to dupe you like it's almost full so that we can get
That guy is employed by the SACCO.
He's a casual worker.
No, he's a casual worker. It's an ecosystem. He's not employed.
Okay.
Let me tell you, kazi ni kazi.
Is the
And
Mkazano employed?
No, he's not really.
He's self-employed.
Self-employed,
But he's
but also
needed.
recognized by a particular SACCO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mkazano of this SACCO cannot be also Mkazano.
No. Can't.
And then the next one.
No, can't.
Are the set people set? As
Set people are set. And
in
it's
you can
20
go
bob
to a
per
stage-
set.
So you can go to a stage and you would know that this guy is a set guy,
Yeah.
this guy.
Tunamuonaga.
Yeah,
Right?
that's 20 bob per
So
set.
for him to sit in the thing
Yeah.
until
20
somebody
bob.
else comes, you pay him 20 shillings.
Yes.
So he could actually earn a good amount of money.
And Mkazano is 50 bob.
What?
Yeah, per Matatu.
Kujaza mathri.
Yes, 50 per.
Per passenger.
No.
Per
Per
Matatu.
Matatu, yes.
Okay. Who else works in this industry?
Who else? Of course, traffic police and
They work in the
county
industry.
government. Indirectly, you can't disregard.
Patricia, you must explain.
No, how do I honestly, I don't.
Let's start with Kanjo.
Yes.
Okay. So where do Kanjos come in? How do Kanjos interact with the Matatu sector?
Because they're a key component of this.
Greeting section.
Greeting.
Yeah,
Guys,
section. They also live off Matatus.
Explain when you say greeting.
Yeah. They have their share.
They have their share.
Yes.
So that's what you call greeting.
Yes.
Where did the term greeting come from and how does it fit into the situation?
Wow. Are you a Kenyan?
Mimi ni Mkenya
Na
kabisa.
sasa ujaona vile watu wanasalimianaga huko kwa barabara sijui nini. Hey,
Hiyo.
tunasalimiana.
That's a greeting.
Yes.
Salamu.
Salamu.
bwana.
Yes.
So that what can happen?
So
after
No,
you greet-
something is passed on to you. As
I
a
get it. I
greeting.
understand.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so as you greet me, what happens then? What? Because there's a process, obviously.
Yes,
Let's say
there's a
if I don't
process.
greet you, what happens?
Definitely my vehicle is impounded.
For what?
For anything. You see,
Kamakosa hivi.
but no,
Saidire imeangalia
Makosas, no, Makosas are inevitable. Like I said, our
Yeah.
city engineering is not inclusive, doesn't allow us to have a good ecosystem to do public transport. So you're bound to kufanya makosa
Yeah.
because we still have the same infrastructure, but the population has increased.
Yeah.
So whether we like it or not, makosa itakuwa hapo.
Yeah.
We don't have enough stages, you know.
In fact, you hardly have stages like on this road.
Exactly. So makosa tu lazima itatokea. Yeah. Not actually makosa. I think someone should take the county
Because what we are
government
It's,
to
Oh,
court.
it's actually not makosa
It's
because
not.
It's designed for you kukosa.
yeah.
But let me ask.
And someone else takes advantage.
So, Patricia, essentially what we're saying now is that the greeting that happens, because does this now contribute to the 30% that you're talking about that ends
Yes.
up in corruption? Because we can call it greeting, but it's corruption. That's
Yeah,
what
it is corruption.
So essentially what is being greeted is so that in case of anything,
Yeah.
you will overlook my vehicle.
Yeah.
And that you will not impound me, you will not arrest me,
Exactly.
you will not hold me for an
Yes.
issue.
Yes.
So it's looking over, so it is corruption. So it's part of that 30%.
But not really. Okay, fine. There is that overlooking. But like I said, the city is not designed to. Okay. You cannot enforce a law with poor infrastructure.
That's true.
It doesn't
Exactly.
make sense.
But what
So
makes
You-
if
you
we
get
know
me?
this, Patricia,
Yeah.
because you said I think you're about to go to a point where you said the city county should actually be taken to court, because if we're talking about Nairobi, because Matatus fly around the country, and I'm assuming this 5 billion that you talk about is countrywide,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep.
So if we're saying in the city of Nairobi alone that the city is not designed for public transport
Yeah.
of this magnitude.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are saying you
And
must
we're paying
enforce
taxes.
certain laws
Yeah.
in order for public transport to operate within the city. Then it is then the responsibility of the city to make sure that routes
Absolutely.
within the city are pliable.
Yes.
Now, with an industry that is so powerful, it is 1 million strong employees, 5 billion strong in commanding of funds every day.
Yeah.
Have there been conversations about, come on guys, can we be doing this greeting of 30% or however much, whereby we're always going to be at fault because we know that certain infrastructure or certain things have not been put in place? Can't enforce a law upon guidelines which are not there. Has that conversation happened?
Yeah, it is. But like I said, we're still struggling with the goodwill, stakeholder goodwill. We can't enforce. We're just owners, investors. And it's an industry that has been disregarded. And I think it deserves a national approach.
So a bigger conversation is to happen here on if we're talking about transporting these millions of people on a daily basis.
10 million.
10 million every day.
Yeah, within metropolis.
Just within the metropolis.
Yep.
Not even countrywide, right?
Yeah.
If you're just talking about the Nairobi metropolis and others, just transporting 10 million people daily, and the amount of money that's generated from here, and even the amount of money that comes into various revenue schemes by the government, we need to have a conversation on then how to facilitate this, to get it better, to get it more formal, to get it more supported.
Yeah.
Our guest this morning is Patricia Mutheu. She is the CEO of the Matatu Owners Association, representing about 480 SACCOs. A SACCO is one that has many vehicles, many owners. The Matatu sector in this country is a big employer. Over 1 million people employed in this sector, and they're paid on a daily basis. It's a cash issue. It's not you wait until the end of the month. Every day, somebody's paid. Driver, conductor. There are those people who do the squad that's driving the vehicle around the estate as the driver is he's taking some relief. And then there are those people who scream at you, hey, ingia hapa. Okay. They're called Mkazano or Kamagera. And then there are those people who enter the vehicle, and then once the vehicle looks like it's getting full, they exit the vehicle. It's part of the industry. It's part of the ecosystem. We have the enforcers of the law. Kanjo, traffic, sometimes
I forgot to
someone
mention there
else.
is also graffiti.
Yes.
Lighting. And interior.
The people who just do the...
Yeah.
And these are artists.
Artists, yes.
And they are creative, man.
Minimum graffiti will cost you 300,000. That is minimum.
For what size of a matatu?
33-seater.
Where?
300,000.
What?
Up to $1 million, yes.
And this is just graffiti on the outside?
Yeah, just graffiti, yes.
And then to do the interiors, the way we see, speakers, the lights.
Now, music system minimum should be around 250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lights?
Oh, lights should be, again, 300, depending, minimum.
And then there are those that decide also to do something else with the upholstery on the seats and stuff.
Yes.
That's also some extra.
Yeah.
So it's employing these other people in the industry.
Yes.
Creatives who are also, that's over 1 million people.
Yeah.
And 5 billion shillings that's generated as revenue on a daily basis, it's going to pay all these people. And it's also going to pay the facilitators of the system. This is Kanjo police, sometimes NTSA on the road, sometimes they're not, everybody else. And we're saying about up to 30% of these daily revenues is likely to be going to these enforcement officers.
Yeah.
That's 1.5 billion shillings daily.
Daily, yeah.
Going to Kanjo and traffic police.
No, and other
And
entities,
others.
yes.
Wow.
And after this, do you still pay taxes?
Oh, that's a bit complicated. When we're buying the units, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we pay taxes.
But now, like e-teams, income tax, you're the
No,
owners.
right now they're enforcing items. It's just a new thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about income tax? Because you are business owners.
No, I don't think we don't.
So at the end of
What
the year,
corporate tax?
you're not able
Corporate
to even
tax we
compute
pay.
how much you earned.
Yeah, you can't compute. The sector is not really regulated. You can't ascertain. So I think it will be also unfair to impose rules which are favorable to other entities without considering our needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have very many.
But what am I
Matatu.
saying here? It's a sector that needs a national dialogue. If well structured, we can resolve a lot of issues. Matters unemployment, we can strengthen it. I mean, make sure it's cashless, dictate the quality and type of graffiti that goes onto the Matatu, to promote national patriotism. I mean, there's a lot you can do with this industry. There is advertisement inside the Matatus because each and every Matatu nowadays, 70% must have a TV. I mean, it's a very, very versatile industry.
There have been very many attempts at having a national conversation about the Matatu sector.
Yeah.
And often you'll hear, if you go to government, they'll tell you, those guys do not want anything that talks about regulation because formalizing means that you're starting to expose what exactly they've been doing, and they do not want that. You want to thrive in this chaos, knowing full well that there's 5 billion shillings that you're generating on a daily basis, that you're dealing with on a daily basis. If you start formalizing it, it means that the government now has visibility into how much you are making. Is it true that
No.
the players in the Matatu sector
No,
are not interested in a conversation?
it's not true.
So what's your position? Who is not interested in a conversation then?
I wouldn't say not interested. There's a bit of laxity. Yeah.
From?
Different stakeholders. So at the end of the day, it's the owners who carry the biggest baggage. Yeah.
Are you saying that as owners you're comfortable with the situation as it is?
No, we are not comfortable, but you don't expect Patricia to be on the road to enforce the rule of law.
No, we don't, but we expect Patricia to make a little noise.
Of course, and that's why I'm here.
You haven't
In
made
a-
noise yet. You're still
No,
having
no,
a
no.
civilized
I'm
conversation.
I'm very passive, and I believe in dialogue. Yeah, I'm not combative. I believe we can come up with comprehensive solutions to make the industry work.
Without tearing one's hair out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where
Think
do-
ahead.
The structure of the association itself, obviously, there's your position, which is the CEO.
Yeah.
What happens within the association that would essentially say, well, these are thoughts, these are plans, these are things that we can do to kind of bring about some of the changes that you're speaking about. So how does that association run in terms of operations then for some of these issues?
No, we are an advocacy association. So if you're not happy with some of deliberation, of course, executive deliberation, we have options to go to court or also mobilize our members and, you know, put the government of the day into place. Yeah, and make sure our grievances are heard.
You talk about certain things that can be done, talk about patriotism. This is interesting because when I first came to Kenya, one of the first things that I heard was about these, the vibrant Matatus and the color and all of these things happening. And I thought to myself, this is very interesting because it is actually one of the things that you notice.
Yeah.
So when we talk about things as important, because I think that's a really important thing, when you talk about things as important as that, who would then steer the conversation? When you say, okay, well, let's sit down and have a national conversation about this. And when you talk about brand Kenya, who would be having that conversation and how would you present such a, not even an argument, present such a plan and say, well, let's be part of this national discourse?
I think this should be the mandate. People employed, appointed by the president. They should be able to sit in a place and say, you know, be able to spot the wins, the losses, okay? For instance, when you say brand Kenya, I'm sure there is a CS who's in charge of heritage brand Kenya and all that. You get me? We are just an outfit that is ready to collaborate, whoever brings value into the sector. Yeah. And we're very easy, and that's why we came up with a very beautiful structure that you can just have a one, what do we call it? A one approach in regards to the sector. I'm able to mobilize over 42 counties to speak in one language with proper structures. So in every in every county, we have a good structure of Matatu owners association representative, from the chair to treasurer to, you know, the way organization structure is like. So we have that. So it makes any ideas, any deliberation easy to implement. So what am I saying? We're willing to collaborate with anyone who will add value into the sector.
That's
Yes.
the rider.
Yeah.
Add value to the sector.
Add value to the sector.
So there are various,
Because you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there are various government agencies. Of course, your entry point would be like the Ministry of Transport, Roads and Transport.
Yeah.
Where NTSA is nestled.
Yeah.
So you've got NTSA that would come in, and you're dealing with the NTSA on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because they're licensing your vehicles, you're renewing your PSVs and all this, and they're licensing the SACCOs and managing the SACCOs.
Yeah.
So you've got the Ministry of Roads and Transport that's in charge of roads and transport. Then
Yeah.
you've got now the others that come in to support.
We've got the
National
county
Treasury, the
assembly.
counties would and then also come in because you're dealing on county level at the all the time. Has the Matatu Owners Association formally reached out to these entities to say, would like to have a conversation, and say this time we want to have a conversation about, let's say, infrastructure that looks at planning and infrastructure for the urban areas, and how we as the Matatu sector have these ideas and proposals? Have you done that?
Yes.
Have you had a meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And how has it gone?
Very good. Very good. Looks very good. On papers, implementation is the problem.
What was agreed in those meetings?
A lot was agreed. I think you should invite Namata DG. I mean, when you listen to the plans, when you look at the plans, they're amazing. Yeah. But implementation, 10 years down the line, we still don't have the routing along the corridors, and we don't know how long it will take, you know. And the population keeps on increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Namata is the Nairobi
And-
Metropolitan Area Transport
Exactly,
Authority.
yeah. And a lot of investors are pulling out.
Why?
So we're gonna because the condition, the condition, the business condition in the country is not favorable. Poor infrastructure, corruption has escalated, so there is no really value.
Is there
for the investor.
any proposal by the Matatu sector that has been adopted by government? Because what we see often is the government's coming to enforce, and then there's a lot of pushback from the Matatu sector, but eventually it comes in.
Yeah,
Start with the Michuki rules. Then you come into Kimunya and saying every Matatu must join a SACCO. There was a lot of pushback around that. Now we're seeing it's made it much
It's
easier.
making sense.
What ideas has the Matatu sector come up with to the government and have not been implemented, or that have been implemented?
Cashless.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still struggling to implement, and I believe NTSA has the key to this. You know, it's a regulation that needs to be enforced,
Patricia,
and will resolve a lot of things. Yes.
could you paint a picture of an ideal situation that would make the Matatu industry infinitely more viable than it is now, or make it the Matatu industries that the owners would like to see? What would we see if it was ideal?
What could you see? One, well-designed infrastructure and purely cashless. It will resolve 100% of our problems.
When you say cashless, what exactly do you mean?
Cashless, just we go cashless, no cash. You know, you'll
So
be
it's like
able
getting like
tap
metro
and go.
cards,
Yeah,
tap and go.
yeah, tap and go. Yeah, you'll be able to monitor the number of people moving from point A to B. There's so much that you can.
So why can't
check
a
it.
SACCO introduce that for its vehicles?
It's enforcement. I will tell you. Kenyans are very funny. They work best when they're under pressure or threatened, I think, majority. And it's inevitable. And unfortunately, as an owner, I can't enforce. It needs to be a regulation.
Are you telling me, Patricia,
Yeah.
that if, for example, the SACCOs that operate one route,
Yeah.
say South B to town, maybe there are several SACCOs that are on that route. If all the SACCOs on that route decided and agreed
Yeah.
that all our Matatus we are going cashless, and we are telling people you can go to this SACCO office, you can get your card,
Yeah.
and then you'll be tapping and going, and you can preload it, blah, blah, blah. Are you saying that Kenyans will say, no, si unataka kulipa cash?
No, they will not say. I'm actually not talking about typical Kenyans. I'm talking about our crew now, the drivers and the conductors.
And who are employees of the SACCO?
Yes.
And you're saying that the SACCO cannot control its employees?
No, they do. Some SACCOs do control their employees, but then there's a need to have a regulation that should be mandatory. That if you don't have cashless, then you become an illegal entity.
So essentially what you're doing is that you're forcing the system into some certain kind of compliance that is
Yes,
going to
compliance.
streamline or
Yes.
regulate things.
Yeah, we have some SACCOs who are already cashless. We do.
Some.
Yes, some. Yeah, even right now, majority of passengers, only 70 or 50% pay cash.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's doing M-Pesa.
yeah. Nowadays is M-Pesa
Through
and Pochi
M-Pesa.
la Biashara.
Okay.
Yes.
So even and this is interesting because a question that come here and these Kamagira, these guys set whom how
Now,
how
Those are
will
being paid
yes,
on
how
that.
now
will they
those
be
guys
paid?
will
Because
be
they're being
starved.
paid on,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is one of our biggest problem because they are our ecosystem.
But I'm sure you can come up with a way of paying them at the end of the day.
Absolutely. That one we have.
What I am not getting, Patricia,
Yeah.
is why you need the government to come and enforce things that a SACCO that has employed the driver, has employed the conductor, a SACCO that is running on a daily basis, the SACCO that's collecting the money, cannot enforce the cashless mode. If there are SACCOs that are already doing it, why can't all SACCOs under MOA just say countrywide from August this year we're all going cashless? What we're going to do is all SACCOs are coming up with their own ways of paying, whether you want to do Pochi la Biashara, whether you want to do a Metro card or whatever you want to do, but this is it. We encourage you to have this and the other. And then you're all in agreement. I mean, you're all members of the same organization and you all want the same thing. Why can't you enforce it?
What I said is, as much as we're enforcing it, we need a policy that regulates. Okay? A policy that says all public transport vehicles should be cashless. Must be cashless.
Do I hear
Because
you
over and
saying-
above, because like I said, there are other circles that enforce,
Yeah.
but not all of them. But when it becomes, I'm not saying the government needs to, the government doesn't help anyone. I mean, most of the time they just come up with favorable policies that are favorable for business people to transact their business, but there is no that policy. It's not out there. You say?
Do I hear you to be saying that some of your members will not comply? So if there is a regulation by government that mandates that everybody must comply, then it becomes easier to enforce.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. There's been a move to try and reduce the number of 14-seater matatus in the country, particularly like in Nairobi. You're like, well, you have so many vehicles, and when they go to a stage, there are so many. Why not have bigger, longer buses? Every time there's a conversation about bigger, longer buses, you start talking about, if you go to a bigger bus, if it's a 14-seater and there are 3 of them, those are 6 drivers, 6 conductors, this and the other. And if you go into one, that's all, it kills employment. Is the Matatu industry interested in going, for example, in the Nairobi metropolis, in the route of bigger buses?
That is the future, and it's inevitable. With the growing population, that is the only solution we have. But at the moment, I don't think we have options.
But the options are there. I've listened to this argument and I wonder. See, not everybody wants to carry 33 people. Okay? And not every business person needs to carry 33 people. There are situations where you need 10, 20, 15 people. I'm simply saying, let's say, for instance, we have a function and we need to carry 12 people. And the only option we have is 33. So you're saying we need to look for another 20 people to fill this thing, and yet we do not need the other 20.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about hiring a car, or are you talking about going to a stage?
I am actually talking
12
about
of you to go to town.
People. I'm talking about transporting people, because these very, very vehicles that are part of the Matatu industry are also vehicles that people hire for whatever uses.
But there are those Rosas and others that you can go and hire a Rosa for your own thing. For Matatu, if you're applying, for example, from KNH to town, why must you have 10 Matatus if you can have 5?
There is no reason why you couldn't. But then the options that I may prefer are now
you as a passenger
are deleted, because I am simply saying the moment you simply make them 33-seater and above, you've removed the option that I may want to have just 12 or 14.
As a passenger or as an owner?
Sorry?
As a passenger or as an investor?
Both, because the thing is this: are you saying that there is no business for people who just want to ferry 10 people, and that all businesses must ferry 33 people and above? It's like saying that all these, these humongous buses that go from Kisumu to Mombasa, and then to Busia, and then to Kisii. So you're saying it's like, take an extreme case where you said all public transport in this country must be the size of those buses.
Yes.
How will that work? You have to give people that option.
Which one?
Of, if you want 14, have 14. If you want 33, have 33.
It's up to you.
If you want 60, have 60.
So even a Sienta should be allowed, because a Sienta from Emali to Loitokso will carry 10 people and with a capacity of 7.
Me, I have no problem. I've seen a Pro Box carry 10 people. So
yeah.
Yes.
All right.
And you're calling that a factor of choice?
You see, the Sienta and the Pro Box, that's an extremity and an illegality. A vehicle that's supposed to carry 5 people carrying 10 people, you even marvel. But the marvel is when you see people just coming out and you're wondering where these people are coming out from, and one after another one. You say, wait a minute, how are they sitting? What I'm trying to say is, if you're regulating public transport, there needs to be some clarity, and the choice needs to be there.
Okay.
The reason why Sientas and Pro Boxes become Matatus is simply because this industry is not as regulated as it should be, and doesn't meet the needs that are there. So you come up with whatever vehicle you have, and suddenly it's a Matatu.
Can I go back to the cashless issue, Patricia? Because when we talk about cashless, there's so many things that need to come into play, kind of like what you were alluding to before, in terms of making sure that, infrastructure and all of these things are streamlined. If we look at other jurisdictions where the cashless system works, let's look at some European cities as an example, whereby if you're in Berlin or if you're in Germany, for example, and you pay €7 on the train for the month, the routes are the same, because it has calculated that this is kind of like where you go from point A to point B every day, going in the morning and coming back in the afternoon. If you're going to do a detour during the day, whatever, it's still going to keep you going around, but it has you in the same infrastructure. I look at a cashless system with like Matatus here, for example. it would have to be predetermined routes as well. It would have to be predetermined that from the city centre railways, for example, and if you're coming to capital centre, it's going to be 50 shillings.
Yeah.
But sometimes here you are, you can negotiate with a guy and you're gonna 20 bob. So it's not predetermined. You can negotiate, or the guy can decide, okay, well, it's raining, so it's going to be 100 shillings. So what happens with things like that, whereby this industry is regulated by weather, it's regulated by a driver or conductor's bad mood, it's regulated by what you have in your pocket or not have. How will you now take all of those factors and either push them down, ignore them completely, and then just institute this one thing, because it's determined by so many things? 20 bob route turns to 200 shillings when there's a downpour. How would we do that?
I love it. You've just explained that it is not irregular. And this is a mass mover of economy. Everyone who's going to work uses this channel. So if it's that important, why should we not regulate it over and above?
So this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
How do you regulate it for something that's changed? If the sun is shining today, it's 50 shillings from here to the city, right?
Yeah.
If it's raining, you guys can decide it's 150. And if you're not going to pay, walk. How would you then, in a cashless system, or do you have the one that says rain is 150?
No. See, that happens because the crew want to take advantage.
There you go.
Yeah, of the customers. Supply, demand, and stuff. Most of those monies don't even get into the owner's pocket.
Okay.
You look at one of best run circle like Super Metro. We don't have those irregularities, and that's what I'm saying. If we have a policy that regulates, okay, and maybe we're given the mandate, public participation, to determine how much it will cost from point A to B depending on the timings, it becomes very easy. Yeah, because you cannot continue running Matatu industry the way we're running it.
Are you saying if it was regulated, you'd earn more than the 1.8 trillion yen in a year?
Yes, you will earn more. You will earn more.
Can you self-regulate? Launch this thing. I mean, you already have circles that are doing some of these things.
We're really trying to self-regulate, but over and above, again, we need a policy. Yeah?
Why don't you come up with a policy?
We come up with a policy.
Yeah, if you're waiting for the government and they don't come up
Draft a
with
policy, take it to government, say this is it. Is there one?
I think yes. I think we drafted a policy, and that's why 10 years ago the cashless was adopted, but the enforcement also became a problem.
There's 1.5B, my friend.
Yeah.
That
And then
is
on the issue
circulating hapa
about
chini kwa watu,
the-
kwa wazee. Pesa ya wazee.
hiyo ni muhimu. Bro, ukipigia hesabu
goja,
it's 5 billion a day.
no.
Ukipigia hesabu 1.8 trillion a year.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Hiyo pesa ni mingi
And then
sana.
if it's a lot of money, there's somebody who doesn't want to let it go.
It usually
sure.
works that way, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you really need to ask yourself those tough questions.
Who is not interested in seeing the formalization of this sector?
Who is
Yeah.
benefiting
And
from the
why?
status quo?
And why?
Yeah.
Good questions, a good point to leave it. The question is, if everybody can see that this would work best this way, so why is nobody doing it?
Yes. And also calling on passengers. Enforce on cashless.
Even for us.
Yeah.
Sisi by the-
Kata kulipa cash because you're also supporting corruption.
Okay.
You know, we need to come back so that we can discuss this corruption issue.
Yes. It's a big one.
Kata kulipa.
You'll come again, Patricia. Thank you for joining us today. Patricia Mutheu is the CEO of the Matatu Owners Association. This sector employs over 1 million people. It transacts over 5 billion shillings on a daily basis.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.